Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh,
Sorry, this isn't Halloween, but he did just get 2 cats recently from... Man, how are we doing today?
Great.
It
Got
is
rained out today, but other than that,
Oh, yeah, you guys can't really work when it's down.
most of our work's outside, and there's electricity involved, so
That could get a little bit wild.
yeah, not fun.
It's like that guy, the priest in Caddyshack, holding up the 7-iron, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you know, really, our segments, man, a lot of people have been watching them, which is really cool because, I mean, being honest with you, I've been in radio media for 6 years, and these segments can go one or two ways, and people really are fascinated by
awesome.
this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just a fan. I mean, I'm a fan.
Right.
And now you guys are coming up to the end of the year, and I'm sure the phone is ringing off the hook, left, right, and central, still a little bit about maybe getting onto the books or looking to 2025, but batteries are really becoming a conversation point.
Yeah, so, you know, as most people know, anybody who's been following the net metering change that's happened, and it's a legislative change.
Yeah.
It's statewide, right? Most of the time you hear people, they want to blame Ameren and all that good stuff, but really it's a statewide change.
Right.
And anyway, so when it comes down to it, we had to change our designs a little bit because of that. The buyback on your system is going to be a little bit longer, but you do get some benefits when you have battery backup. And mainly that is you're going to have grid resilience, you know, because, you know, even if you live in a brand new subdivision, 10 years from now, you know, you might start having some power outages as the infrastructure ages,
Yeah.
right? And that happens, and there's a lot of places where it's already like that, particularly in rural areas where you're at the end of the line, right?
Yeah.
And so those people, they have a lot more power outages, especially if they have the old power lines instead of below ground. Generally, below ground power lines are more reliable, right? But with all that considered, you know, you add a battery, and now not only are you able to bypass the fact that there's not the same net metering that we currently have, but you're also going to have that resilience of having power during a power outage with solar.
So now I'm a little bit concerned too because I do have an overhead power line like just driving to the front of my house. Is that anything you got to worry about?
No, I mean those have been around for a long time. All I'm saying is like buried power lines
Last longer?
They're just more reliable because there's no birds on them.
Oh, duh.
You know, the transformers you can't get to. Right? Yeah, it's all enclosed. Yeah.
Sorry, I am waking up still on a Monday.
They're dangerous for people to work on. It's a very difficult line of work. But you know, with that said, like on a traditional basis, they're fine. That's just what we have. But there is a more reliable version, right?
So I got a question, just
Yeah.
because you saw how out of left field I was and how everything just clicked and I was
Right.
able to speak and talk again. Does that happen whenever you're meeting with somebody? Because those things, I mean, you just said it and made so much sense because but when we're talking about solar the first time, I'm sure that there's so many people that have what we would consider obvious questions that are pretty much almost the same question asked each time. Am I onto something there too?
Yeah. So, until recently, I would tell people flat out they don't need a battery.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
If you have one-to-one net metering, flat out, you don't have to worry about a battery unless you have a lot of power outages or that's a thing that concerns you. In which case, I'm happy to tell you how that works.
For sure.
Right? Now, moving forward, because of the changes that are happening, it's quite similar to what they're doing in California, to be honest. But what's going to happen is now they're going to move forward with just adding to what we've already done. So, over the past few years in the state of Illinois, we've added tons of solar, right? Yeah. Not as much battery power, which is what is going to give you that energy you need at night, right? Or at the peak times of day when your solar isn't doing quite enough, right? You crank in the AC, everybody just got home from work, right? You're making dinner. That's peak hours. That's when your home's going to use the most energy. And so those batteries can help supplement that so you're not pulling quite so much from the grid when the power is also most expensive.
Yeah,
right?
Well, and it makes sense. And even with the batteries thing, the way that I'm seeing it, more and more people are working from home now than ever. I mean, they said,
good one, yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, no, they're sending them back to work. Pick your head up and look around because there's a lot of people at home and there's nothing wrong with that. But,
right.
When you have that battery, that's what I'm looking for because if the power goes out and you're in the middle of a conference call or you got to get your sales pitch done, before the end of the day to get it sent off, those are debilitating things that happen that you can't control. But with that battery, you got some protection.
And in speaking of debilitating, medical devices.
Oh, huge.
Right?
CPAP machines.
CPAP is a big one. You would get those a lot, right? If you have any
I didn't even think about that.
Any kind of oxygen equipment that needs power, things like that. So you can have, even if we don't do a whole home backup, which is not, you can do critical circuits, which is what we call that, and then you're going to get the basics. You're going to get, a few outlets. You're going to get maybe a blower motor if you have a gas furnace. This is just the critical backups, and you're going to get some outlets so you can run your medical devices or whatever you need to. Wi-Fi is another big one. People need internet during power outage, right?
And with not to cut you off, but does the savings still look the same whenever you're only doing maybe just that, emergency circuit or those high priority circuits?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, generally, just a critical backup is going to be a little bit cheaper.
Okay.
Because it's less battery power, right?
Wow.
You're basically going to cycle the battery a little bit more throughout the day. So, as you're charging and discharging, you're using those batteries all the time. And that's the big difference between those and an older gas generator. You buy a generator, you hope you never have to use it. It sits there. It runs for 10 minutes a week just to keep the juices flowing, and then they're still going to need annual maintenance. Most batteries have no annual maintenance required whatsoever.
Whoa.
You don't have to put fuel in them. They just charge from the solar panels that you have, right? And so even during a power outage, it's not going to cost you anything extra like if you had a gas generator with a propane tank. That'll cost you, $500 to $1,000 a week to run one of those things.
See, what's wild to me, Jason, is I truly thought that it would be more expensive because it would be more of a fine-tuned thing. So to know that's pretty interesting.
Well, there's a wide range of what we can do with that, right? Now, obviously, if you have an enormous house and use a ton of power and you want whole home backup, you're looking at a pretty pricey system, right? But we can do those.
Yeah,
it's fine. If that's what you want, that's what we're going to do. But just for the average everyday person, 1,500, 2,500 square foot house, a little bit bigger, whatever.
Man, this
decent
is cool.
sized power bill. We can back up the whole house. We can do just critical circuits so that you get your kind of grid resilience. And you can do solar to help you.
You're getting my gears grinding right now because
it's fun, man. It's so fun.
I'm thinking there's so many times it's not just me. I've had conversations that have grandma, grandpa, or maybe even mom and dad in their life that are 75, 80, and when weather comes in this region in wintertime, I mean, it's like, hey, who's home this weekend just in case the power goes out so we know where to bring grandma or grandpa or mom and dad. So to know that there's an option out there instead of maybe looking at assisted living or nursing homes because they don't want to leave their house and let them stay there, you can look at this as an option to know that, hey, there is security in this, knowing that if the power's out, mom, dad, X, Y, and Z are fine.
Sure.
And it's taken care. You know what I'm saying? For that backup side.
It's definitely something that,
that's very
the
fascinating.
owner of the house and whoever, they want to take that into consideration. And to add to that, we get a lot of people say they have a portable generator.
Oh,
right?
okay.
They start it up maybe once a year, and it is a giant pain in the butt because the carburetor's cooked up on it, right? And so with the battery system, that thing's on standby. It does exactly what it's supposed to do automatically. You don't have to do anything to it.
That's huge.
So and of course there's like basically no maintenance. So it's pretty awesome.
Well, and now I wanted to ask you, I was over in Troy on Saturday and there was an electric car show.
Oh yeah,
craziest
I actually saw that on Facebook.
It was pretty cool. Those Cybertrucks are pretty damn big, by the way.
They're pretty big. They're bigger than they look on TV.
They are 10 times.
Yeah.
There was a question that kept getting asked about solar, and I'm putting you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
But I just kept thinking about it. It keeps hitting me. With this change to net metering coming, if someone already has an existing system and they wanted to add to it in 2025. Would their net metering look different because of that add-on?
No.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
You just made like hundreds of people very happy today.
Right. So, that was actually released in one of the press releases that we got from Ameren recently.
Oh.
But if they're under the Ameren contract, they are under contract for 30 years with their net metering, right? And they can upsize their system up to 100%. So you cannot double the system, but you can be below that.
Really cool.
Right? So basically, it is a good thing. Those people get to continue that net metering.
Whenever we put that out, I'm telling you, you're going to see reactions galore on Facebook.
Yeah,
That's
and
incredible.
honestly, I was really surprised too. I don't know that they were required to do that. They just did that.
Well, and that's cool.
I think that's great.
That is great. Well, it gives people that incentive still to keep adding or maybe just, making it theirs because changes happen.
Even Ameren recognizes the fact that, if let's say they're giving you the credits that avoided cost, right? So they're basically paying people what they pay generators to produce electricity.
Gotcha.
Right? That's what they're doing. So as far as they're concerned, if you're making solar power and they're giving you the same amount that they would give, the coal power plant down south, that's a win-win to them. And now they don't have to transmit that electricity nearly as far because electrons go where they want to go, right? So if your neighbor next door needs that extra electricity that you're sending to the grid, that's where those electrons are going to go. Okay.
Really cool.
And so it does really all work out. And so Ameren is definitely on board with all that stuff, at least from what I could tell.
Really cool.
And I don't speak on behalf of Ameren, but but at the same time, a lot of companies, they try to villainize the utility companies.
They do. It's not fair.
Right. Yeah. So, but we're not looking to villainize anybody, but at the same time, there's a new ecosystem building.
Yep.
Right. We are building a new decentralized grid. And that grid resilience is going to be good for everybody, the companies, the homeowners, everybody.
And I wanted to hit on that. I know we'll get back to batteries here in a second, but there's been a lot of talk about the use that we're producing throughout the country. I mean, countrywide energy uses with this AI stuff is just, killing the grid. They don't know if we can sustain it in 10, 20 more years. They're nervous. So what I think is kind of interesting is the fact that more and more people go solar. I mean, think about that strain that we're pulling away from that. I mean, even though we still got to get it fixed and upgraded, it could maybe help that last a little bit longer and help ease that transition.
Absolutely. Yeah, because basically all of those one-way street power lines are becoming two-way street power lines with no additional, with very little infrastructure needed, right? So, because again, like I said, now they don't have to transmit that power nearly as far. It probably doesn't even hit the substation nearby. It's just, it's just electrons go where they need to go. And so it does save utility companies money because they might not have to upgrade quite as fast, right? And they might disagree with me, and it's going to go by a case-by-case basis, right? But in general, that's the idea.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about that because I read that article and I thought, man, that's a little alarming.
Right.
A little alarming. But getting back to batteries, what are some of the things that you talk to about clients? Because I'm sure that, a battery for some people could go one or two ways. Like for me, I would be excited about a battery, a little bit nervous and excited because I know that I keep that storage, it's mine. But then it's like, what happens if, what if the cells go out, or what happens if the battery goes? But you were saying these things last for almost 20 years.
Well, so technically they should last for about that long, but they're under warranty, depending on which brand, between 10 and 12 years.
That's huge, though.
And then, so realistically, at that point, all the batteries that we carry, they're warranted to have 70% of their original capacity after 10 years.
It's huge.
Right? So 70%, that's still about 3/4 after 10 years. And so you're going to have that reduced capacity, and maybe you want to add another battery pack then, or maybe it's just fine and you don't need to add any more, right? But those batteries are not just going to die the day of the warranty.
Now, how long is it for the ROI on a battery, do you think?
I mean, that's hard. That's not something you can really calculate.
You'd have to see the bill and all that. Or,
no, it's not even that. It's just that a battery doesn't generate electricity.
Gotcha. I get what you're saying.
Right? A battery is a bank. Okay, so can a battery save you money on your power bill? Yes, technically it can. If you have time of use rates or demand charges and your battery can help you avoid those things, it can help you save money. The likelihood that it's going to pay for itself at the price point that we're at right now, not that great. Just being honest, I'm an honest guy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But at the same time, when you combine that with solar, right, and now you have the ability to charge that battery with essentially free electricity after you've paid your system off, right? And you can use your solar and your battery to save you money on time of use. That's where they're going to save you. And so you have to get them both together to really make it work.
Well, and honestly, there's an invaluable component to this. Now, I'm really thinking about this now because we're getting in that time. Think about how many have 2 or 3 or 4 kids, and how many are not nowadays anymore. It's you're going to work on your computer at home day. And hell, if that power goes out and all of a sudden you got 3 papers that need to get done and all of that. I mean, I'm just thinking about all of these little things that add on to the family stress.
Yeah.
I mean, but they add on to so much of that family dynamic. Just that peace of mind knowing that, hey, we don't have to worry about this.
You can still get stuff done. You can still, even if you only get the critical circuits backed up,
that's
right?
perfect.
Like you go the more cost-effective route and do critical circuits, you can still keep living in your house and nothing is going to fundamentally change when the power goes out.
Well, and then getting back to the older adults too, I mean, hell, I'm thinking middle of the night whenever, your CPAP's on and you're sleeping, you aren't realizing it's turned off, and that's deadly.
You'll never even know.
Exactly. And now all of a sudden, if it goes off, you don't have to worry about waking up children. choking. You know,
Right.
you're safe, and that's
Right.
huge.
Yeah.
I just, man, I'm really big about this battery because at first I was a little hesitant because I thought, shoot, now we got to sell this. But
Right.
we talked that first day, and I started doing a little bit more research, and man, it's there. I
Sure,
mean, it
yeah.
really is there.
And you know, one question I get a lot of is, you know, how big are they? Right?
Yeah.
And so it depends on which one you get. Obviously, we have one. It starts out relatively small, but in general, we install it. It's about the size of a dishwasher in a kitchen, right? So you can put it in your utility room or garage or something like that. And then we have the power wall type where we actually mount those to the wall. They stick out from the wall about a foot, and they're 3 feet wide by 5 feet tall.
Now, do you have any batteries that are out on the outside? Like, if you,
We can.
What do they look
I
like?
prefer to put them inside the house. The batteries that we put outside, it's either going to be like a Tesla or a Franklin.
Gotcha.
And they're like a shiny white, almost like a glass finish. Very nice looking on the outside of the
One
house.
of those things-
But they do last longer inside. So if we can put them inside, I prefer to do that.
Now, when you're putting batteries in, is there things to think about, like air circulation or anything like that, in terms of like making sure there's airflow or
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to put a bunch of boxes in front of them.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So whenever we install them, we make sure that there's correct airflow access because that including like string inverters and stuff. that we install.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to have all the airflow and stuff, and of course there's codes. You have to keep things 3 feet away from this stuff. Same thing with your electrical panel. A lot of people cover those up. You're not supposed to do that.
There's a lot of landlords in Alton that are looking the other way right now.
But it's okay. It's whatever. People do whatever you want to your house. But whenever we install the batteries, we do take all that into account. So of course it's going to meet code and all that good stuff.
Man, I'm jumping in left field here, but that made me think. You were just spinning some thoughts in my head today, man. I appreciate that. So there's a couple of people that I've known that are running into the old electrical systems, if you know what I'm saying. That like asbestos type of line in, you know what I'm talking.
Oh yeah.
Now,
knob and tube is what you're talking
knob
about.
and tube.
Yep.
Can you guys even touch that stuff? I mean, if someone wants it and they have an old house that has knob and tube, is that going to be a different conversation?
So we're not going to go rewire someone's house. Right. Are my guys capable of that? Probably.
Right.
But I would never ask them to do
Now,
that because
can
that's
you-
not our wheelhouse.
can you attach in
Now
to
with that? Yeah, I'm getting to that.
okay.
So with that said, the main thing that is concerning for us is whether or not their electrical panel, the panel itself, is capable of what we're doing. Right. So if they have an electrical panel that has fuses in it, it needs to be upgraded. It should have been upgraded decades ago. Right. If they only have a 60 amp panel, for instance, they're going to need to upgrade that to at least a 100 amp panel. But otherwise, most homes already have the panels that we need. It's very rare that we have to actually do an upgrade.
Man, that's fascinating. See, more and more I think.
And there
of
are
this
ways
stuff.
around it as well. We can avoid messing with anything in their system as much as possible. And it just depends on the home and the way it's wired already.
Now, in an ideal placement for battery, getting back to that, where do you like to put them at? You said.
My personal
Yeah.
favorite is a basement, right? If you have either an unfinished basement or your maintenance room, your furnace and all that good
Gotcha.
stuff is downstairs, or just a utility room anywhere in the house. But otherwise, the garage, a shop, or worst case scenario, we can put it outside, and they are outdoor rated. They're allowed to
That's
do that.
okay.
They are outdoor rated, but I just avoid that because it's just less variables inside a house.
Now, is there anything you need to do to your battery every 6 months or every year? Or you just once it's there, you just kind of like.
Some of them have an air filter you just have to
Okay.
clean off.
Really?
You pull a little,
No kidding.
Yeah, it just depends on which one you get. But generally speaking, no, there's nothing you have to do.
What are your
And you rinse the filter. It's not like a paper filter.
Oh, God love you guys.
it's
Thank
like-
you to the manufacturer for doing that.
Yeah, it's super easy, man. Yeah.
No, what are your manufacturer battery? What do you guys like to go with? Who's your top manufacturer?
So currently, especially in the rural areas, those systems tend to lean towards like a string inverter that's going to have a solar converter and a home grid battery. That's a great combination. We have actually one of those going right now. But that will back up basically anybody's house, with the exception of small mansions. Right? It's a very, very cost-effective system. Moving next year, since most of our residential systems are microinverters, meaning all the panels operate individually.
Okay.
Right. The most cost-effective method for us to overcome the lack of net metering is probably going to be the Tesla Powerwall 3, which has a built-in solar inverter. And then there's also, we can stick with the in-phase microinverters that we love so much, and also add other batteries like the Franklin whole home battery is a great combination with that. So either one of those systems. So it's probably going to be Tesla or Franklin Whole Home. For like the neighborhood residential. If you're doing a ground mount and it's a pretty good size system, we're probably going to lean towards our older string inverter with the battery.
Now, with the battery becoming in play, as next year rolls around the corner, does setup time when you're installing, because we've talked about, winter months and not having a lot of sun out, does that get a little bit easier for you guys, knowing that you have the battery storage? So once you set it up, you're knowing that you're getting some energy stored in there right away, or does it still take a little bit of time for that initial install on the cloud cover, the winter months to?
Oh, it would be pretty much instantly.
That's what I was getting at.
You're talking about the net metering bank. Yeah. So once your system's operational, you already have.
That's perfect,
because
man.
what's going to happen is that the so-called net metering you don't have anymore, right? But your battery is helping you with the arbitrage of that. But basically, it's going to go in and out all day. As the clouds move overhead and your system production drops down, but you're still cranking power into the house, your battery is going to help supplement that. And then when all of a sudden you have more solar than you need for the house, it's going to recharge that battery, right? That's the ideal scenario.
That's what I was getting at. See, that's
and there are different systems. It depends on the complexities of whatever we're working on with your particular project. But in general, that's what we're going for.
Really cool. And, at this point in the year, too, now that I have you, I love it, dude. We talk for so long, and we just keep going and going. We're already 10:40. But, I wanted to, because everyone always looks to, November or late October to get outside and maybe spray off that air conditioning unit, or maybe go and fix those, water faucets to make sure we aren't having them explode on us in the wintertime.
Right.
Is there anything that we could always check if we do have a solar unit that we can kind of go and maybe maintenance or do some light things just to make sure we're looking good?
Yeah, so I've actually had some customers. We do a lot of maintenance as well, and we're going to start up offering that as a service.
That's
first and
great.
Foremost. Okay, so cleaning solar panels. With that said, I am a practical and pragmatic person. And so, generally speaking, you don't have to wash your solar panels.
Okay, thank you for saying that, because I was nervous.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
Now, will you get a boost in efficiency? Absolutely. If you have less stuff on your panels blocking the sun, you're going to get a boost in production. Most of the time, especially in the summer, it's going to be temporary, because really the boost in production is coming from cooling the panels because they're so hot. Right?
That makes sense.
Now, with that said, the rule of thumb generally is wash your solar panels about as often as you wash the outside of your windows, right? So if the outside of your windows just have a light dusting on them, and you can see, but if you can still see through it, obviously your solar panels can still see the sun.
Right.
Now, is it a little bit shaded? Sure. You're talking like 1 or 2% maybe. Now, over a 20-year span, that 1 or 2% could add up, right? But with that said, it's not super critical. It's not something that we're like, yeah, you should do this. We're going to sell you this $250 package.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
It's like if a customer wants their panels cleaned and it's mostly for like an aesthetic reason, is most likely going to be the case. We're going to do that for you. That'll be starting in 2025, though. We don't currently offer that.
That's huge.
Okay.
Because I was thinking, you can see your neighbor out there hosing his off, and you're like, you son of a...
and a pressure washer isn't quite all you need, because the buildup that happens on them, could be tree sap and things like that.
That's what I was thinking.
You need special equipment. And so we're gonna get the guys equipped with that, go through some training and make sure that,
Wonderful.
Yeah, we'll get that all done.
What have I not talked about battery-wise yet?
I think you covered most of it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Now, I gotta get the elephant out of the room here.
Oh boy.
This time around, I was supposed to be prepared with an energy bill. I failed Jason. I failed him. I'm gonna be honest. I'm saying that because he's bigger than me and right in front of me. I failed. But when I see Jason next time around, we will go through that.
Sure.
Grid Solar's turning heads. We got Ameren coming on this Friday, and I'll say it here. They saw our segment, wanted to come on and add to it, and really great work, guys.
Yeah.
We'll take a. Actually, we aren't. We're out of time. I gotta go.
All right.
I'm out of time, sorry. With that being said, I'll see you back here tomorrow on Tuesday. I gotta leave a little bit early and take care of some business. Until tomorrow, we got a busy week. Join me. Until then, try your best to stay out of jail. Oh, and stay dry.
He once knew, oh yes he did. He said it was